Hello, ladies. Today is March 1st, 2026. Happy March Magical Memories. And this is so fitting because when I think about some of my most happiest times, it was during this time of year. And of course, I'm an Aries girl, and so my birthday will be coming up soon. However, I remember back in like my childhood how sometimes I would wake up and I would just have certain days where it seems like everything was just perfect. It's like the sun was out, all of my great friends was around, and we just had great times. We just created a lot of great memories. And it's so funny because we are in like this Mercury retrograde shadow period, but sometimes you need to go back into your memory bank and pull up things that was really healthy for you. Things that you can look on as an adult from your childhood and say, oh, wow, I really had a great time. Or I remember when I really enjoyed myself during this time, right? And this is why I always say taking pictures and writing down your thoughts, journaling, things like that. It really, really helps because it keeps you, like in this state of understanding and knowing, right? And I love that. So I wrote something down and it says project your imagination onto your reality. So what that means is when you're able to go back into your memory bank and pull from these beautiful energies, you can still create from that space even as an adult. And it's like this magical frequency, it's like spiritual based. And I can remember being a younger preteen and just being, not knowing everything, not being aware of everything, but having this frequency of, positivity, right? And it was the smallest things. Like if I would go outside and I notice, okay, it's springtime, I can see the grass is starting to get a little green, I became happy. Or if I seen the first bird of the springtime, right? I would be like, oh my gosh, there's the first bird, there's a sign. So things like that. And it's also a really good thing to practice a healthy level of detachment, as I've stated before, because you need to be able to balance out things. You need to be able to, especially if you're like this intense person and you have a lot of different energies. My generation is the Pluto and Scorpio generation. And so that deals with a lot of different like transits, transformations, and Scorpio rules. Um, deep waters, emotions, and being able to overcome things as like a generation, right? So this is why you see a lot of people who are speaking up, they're standing in their truths, things like that. So I also feel like if you are in a loop, and this can be a loop of trying to be perfect or staying too detached, I think that when you introduce something new into your routine or into your daily life, it can be even more beneficial for you. Like, say if you have been in this loop of, working really hard, and it can be on anything, you may want to have a spa day, take a vacation, you know, introduce yourself to more creative things so that way you can have positive outlets instead of feeling like you have to live by this standard of, being rigid or being very structured. And like I said before, having gratitude, being grateful, understanding your privileges, but also enjoying that space as well without feeling guilty about it. And I would just say this, at the end of the day, no one really cares. We're all trying to understand life and figure things out. And it's good to have, like, different support systems as well. So that way you're able to be yourself too, because that's another thing that tends to come up when it comes to like people and, you being surrounded by people. Make sure you are around people who love to see you being yourself. Your authenticity, your creativity, who you are as a person. Because when we're around environments, those environments hold certain frequencies that will pull from our frequencies. And this is where you may have like different types of personalities that come up. Or let's say if you're in some sort of environment where you feel more creative, and then you just start to think of all of these great ideas, then that's a great energy center for you, right? So this is how I tend to look at things. And I'll just say this, sometimes people don't know that they have to change their environment. So they may feel like, oh, I'm not that creative or I'm not that magical. Well, it's really just based on your environment paired with your reality. And what makes your reality personal to you is what you choose to believe, what you choose to allow, things like that. So, again, happy Self Love Sunday. Happy March Magical Memories. Until next time, take care.